Trump wants America to normalize coronavirus deaths. It's the media's job not to play along. The laughable thing is that they think that normalizing deaths will lead to a full reopening and a restored economy in time for the election. They just don't understand how human nature interacts with economics. He's fucked with the numbers, so the spread is much higher than what's being reported. He gets the reports before anyone else. That 3,000 deaths a day by next month was leaked to us before he got to it. Assume he's been doing this all along and will continue to. He's forcing people back to work and threatening governors who don't reopen immediately by withholding state aid. He's got the courts packed with judges he appointed, so nothing's going to happen to him. Now the coordinated messaging starts. All conservatives will be saying the same thing. Downplay, ignore, cherry-pick facts. Stonewall any type of investigation or oversight. Deflect blame onto China/DNC every chance you get. Claim all criticisms baseless witch hunts. That sound about right for the next 6 months. Edit, oh my god, my first awards in 9 years on Reddit. Thank you so much, kind strangers. Let's not give up hope and take back our home in 2020. It just like what, 80,000 deaths, with thousands more every day? Who gives a fuck? It's not like it's 4 people in a Libyan embassy or anything serious. I think this is the thing that scares me the most. Think about how we got used to school shootings. 9/11 brought America together. I remember seeing it as an outsider. Now every day and a half is 9/11 and you've never been more divided. I'm afraid for you guys and for us, the rest of the world. Approximate 80k confirmed tested cases. That doesn't include those who died from the disease untested, of which there is a shitload. I'm going with 100k easy. As a reminder, no tests, no coronavirus deaths. Normalize all he wants. Still doesn't make him not a killer. It's been happening for a while. I've been arguing with people who first said the deaths were not enough compared to flu, then that those people were going to die anyway, then that we can't count confirmed cases but have to wait for death certificates. Now the latest is that it's really just a small percentage of the US and this shouldn't be considered a pandemic. Never mind that this small percentage is really 20% the population of Wyoming. 100k projected deaths in the US and the state of Wyoming has an estimated population of 500k. These people make me sick. Trump virus has now claimed more lives than the last 4 major US conflicts combined, Vietnam, Gulf, Iraq, Afghanistan, and continues to climb. That isn't normal or something to be proud of, Mr. President. I don't get this GOP strategy of denying the death and destruction this virus is creating. No masks? Get back to work? What is the goal? They are purposely killing themselves, like a bunch of lemmings jumping off a cliff and telling the rest of us we are cowards for not following them. Edit, changed lemurs to lemmings. Man, I never have ill wishes on anyone, but I really hope he gets COVID and has a hard time. It did not have to be like this. Trump had a chance in January, February, and March, but he was incompetent, unbelieving in facts, and subject to wild imaginings, injecting disinfectant and cleansing the body with light. While he lied, we died, and COVID-19 spread unnecessarily. He can't even keep the virus out of the effing White House because of his supreme idiocy. Look at South Korea, look at New Zealand, they did it right. So if you love Trump so much and want to follow him, get out there and interact with the world. Welcome that little virus into your life and your family. Who are you offering up as sacrifices to the economy? The normalization of Trump's behavior began before the election. Why would anyone expect it to stop now? If you get corona, you get corona. It's not going to let it stop me from partying. Donald Trump. Fuck Trump and all his dumb as fuck followers. A ridiculous part of this whole thing is that if they manage to normalize 1,000 to 3,000 deaths per day in this country, there will be other countries around the world that have nearly eliminated the virus within their borders. The normalizers will say with a straight face that no one could have handled it differently and continue supporting these morons. I'd like to hear the normalization from a Trump voter. in 2020, after the losses of their family members. How could you justify voting for that individual, when their direction actions have led us to where we are now? Stalin anyone? Compassion fade. Compassion fade is a cognitive bias that predisposes people to behave more compassionately towards a small number of identifiable victims than to a large number of anonymous ones. It is the psychological explanation to the known phenomenon alluded by Joseph Stalin in his famous quote, "The death of one man is a tragedy, the death of millions is a statistic. But they will. Someone needs to make sure this fuckface is following proto." The dumpster fire rages on, and we are still no better off if the country completely opens up and normalize all of it. The unfortunate deaths due to the incompetence of this administration is something that we don't deserve this clusterfuck. None of us. She was 86. She lost her husband of over 50 years and had recently been moved to the memory ward. She had 2 children close by that visited her often. She did not like the nursing home, none of the residents did. Then coronavirus hit the nursing home. She died alone, with no family members present, tended by the strangers who infected her. Instead of dying with her loved ones and thinking of her beloved husband, she died alone. Her wedding rings disappeared, her belongings were moved into storage to make room for the next victim. She deserved better than this from our country, from our president. Trump offers up these helpless victims in the name of the economy. It's really okay with everyone that we treat our fellow citizens, our friends, our families with such disregard? She was 86 and died alone thanks to Trump. This is what narcissism is capable of. They're inhuman monsters in human skin. What a shitty leader. What a shitty human being. What shitty human beings who keep following this shitty leader. Burn this fucking thing to the ground. Who remembers in 2016 when the conversation was about Trump's electability and how he would guide a nation through strife and disaster? People said he would run the country like a business while ignoring all the red flags, like the 6 times he declared bankruptcy, wouldn't release his tax returns, leaked audio of proudly grabbing women, his close ties to communist oligarchs, and not to mention nepotism and cronyism. Now here we are with dead Americans piling up, and he just wants to play third-grade politics. He can't and won't deal with reality. This never should have happened. This is truly the darkest timeline. I was thinking about it. Clinton was president. Let's say she actually acted and kept the numbers lower. Like say the deaths were only around 10,000. The Republican outrage would be insurmountable. Without knowing how things turned out in our reality, I don't know that I wouldn't disagree. Though here we are with Trump, and he wants to pat himself on the back and act like he's the greatest as we hit 80,000 deaths and counting. Then he wants to go and call our FBI and intelligence agencies scum for rightfully trying to prosecute his corrupt cronies, though there is no getting through to family or friends that support this ass. This faith-based reality they live is unbreakable. Even in the midst of this disaster, please consider Taiwan in comparison. Just a few miles off China's shore, with normally 500,000 flights every week, they took early and aggressive action, controlling access, taking temperatures, mandating quarantines, and so on. But government action is only the first part. The people of Taiwan also participated. It wasn't about limiting freedom, it was about saving individual lives. Everyone wears a mask and expects hand sanitizer at store entrances. The result? Less than 500 cases in a population the size of New York, and a fully functional society. Businesses are open, schools in session, people go on about their lives, cautiously but freely. Trump and his goons have fucked up. Don't let them convince you otherwise.